What's happening, Hoodlum gang? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Hoodie from the Hood, aka your friend from that big old end. And I'm back at y'all with another video. I'm gonna make this one real fast, not too long. Gotta clock in to work in a couple of minutes. So we're gonna get into it, as you could tell from the title. And this kind of ties into a lot of the stuff that's been going on YouTube lately, as far as race relations and all that. But yeah, man, black SouthSiders, they do exist, as well as white SouthSiders. I've known a couple, not too many, but I have seen them throughout my time, not just on the streets, but behind the wall. Basically, you know, whatever floats your boat, homie. Different strokes for different lokes, homie. I understand some people grow up with that side more. Like I said, I know a few of them that's cool, man. Shout out to Scooby from TNS. Shout out to Hitman from Pasole. That's just to name a few. But those guys are mixed, you know, half. And they grew up around that side. So, you know, it's just like some homies is black and Mexican or black and white, but they grew up around blacks more, so they gravitated more towards us. Like I know some people that's mixed and they just want to be called black. They don't want to be called anything else. And they take it a certain type of way when you call them something else. I'm quite sure it's the same with the black SouthSiders. If they grew up around their Mexican side, they're going to gravitate to that more. Some of these dudes, you know how men are in general, no particular race, may have gotten a girl pregnant and then wasn't there for the child. So if your father's black and he wasn't there, and you grew up with your Mexican mother, and that side of the family, and that's all you know, you're going to gravitate to that more. There's also black SouthSiders who are full black, who, for one reason or another, they just chose that side. Like I was saying about the gangbanging and the racial tension and all that, everything is changing. You can see it now, even with the black SouthSiders. Back in the days, the black SouthSiders, they conducted themselves as if they weren't black. Like I said, for whatever reason, they may have gravitated to that side. Either they just grew up with them, either they're half Mexican, but they carried themselves like how you see Neil Desai carry himself. He's older, and I'm not talking about all the stuff as far as like on the internet or whatever. I don't care about none of that. I'm just talking about how he presents himself, the way he speaks. That's how they acted. Nowadays, you'll see black SouthSiders or Northaniels with braids and dreads, and it's kind of like you still identify as being black, but you don't at the same time because you're not from a black gang. Like I said, back in the days, they would have their head shaved bald or whatever the case was, maybe slick back, like I said, if they're mixed or whatever the case is. But nowadays, you will see them with like individual braids and like actual cornrows, and it's just like, I don't know. I'd be kind of confused, man. I'd be kind of confused. A lot of them still say the N-word. Like I said, back then, the black SouthSiders, they pretty much identified as Mexican, whether they were mixed or not. They didn't say nigga, they didn't say cuz, they didn't say blood, they didn't do none of that. They just was, you know, their alliance was their alliance. But now it be so confusing because they'll be riding with them, but when you talk to them, you feel like you're talking to another Crip or Blood. So that's pretty much the evolution with them. I don't get it, but like I said, man, to each his own. But they gotta feel some type of way about some of the things, because I understand there's still people who on that side don't like people on this side, and you being of this color being over there. And this is what I wanted to get back to real fast. Not to keep going on that, but when Bride Dog said what he said, this is exactly why I said he was correct. When he tells you that there's certain places that he can't go to as a black man in 2022, he's right about that. King Nico, the Blaxican. Shout out to him. I love the channel. Dude's hilarious. He tells stories all the time, not just when he grew up. If y'all don't know, he grew up in East LA. But just recently, he just said he was in El Monte and some car rolled by and saw him and was like, F-N words. I think they busted a U-turn and said it again. I don't know if they hopped out. Whatever the case was, he said, I'm Rasa or whatever, introduced himself, and they was like, oh, all right. But how do you feel on the inside that that's what they think about you? And that was recently that just happened to him. So Bride Dog is not lying about that type of shit when he says if you go to certain areas, they're still tripping like that. Now, people could come on here and be like, Bride Dog or Cartoon or whoever these people, oh, they sound butthurt. They sound like a victim. No, what if they just want you to tell the truth when you telling the story? It's not propaganda. It's the truth. It's the truth, man. I got love for everybody. I treat people individually, how they are as a man, homie, and how they carry themselves. I don't do the whole, you're this race, so that's what it is. That's what I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I'm black, homie. At the beginning of the day, fuck the end of the day. But I'm not constantly looking at people and just seeing their race. So when people is just telling you like this is what it really is, and it's still going on like this, and then other people come on and say, oh, no, they're pushing division and shit like that. Bro, it's still division behind the wall. And you could say, oh, that's behind the wall. But behind the wall dictates outside for certain people. You can't come on my side of the day room and sit down and watch TV with me. And even though you may have tension with the whites and y'all may get off on them and whatever the case is, you still share the same pull-up bars. You still share the same side of the day room with them. You ain't kicked them out off that side of the day room. So when people be like, yeah, y'all get into it, but it ain't like that, you can't get mad at that. It's the truth. Neil Dezad has said he knows that there's certain people who, when he was locked up, like, they don't like blacks, even though he rolled with them. If an essay, well, not an essay, because depending on what hood you're from, if you walking through a black hood, you might have a problem. But a regular Mexican walking through is not going to get attacked because he's Mexican. Now, we're not talking about little kids being bored, attacking vendors. That's wrong. We already know that. You don't do no shit like that. But what about the grown people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, some in their 70s, telling people to get rid of the black people in their hood? All of them. Men, women, children, not just gangbangers. So that's not wrong. But we're going to fault somebody in their late teens or early 20s, which they're wrong too. Their prefrontal cortex is not developed enough to know right from wrong, according to scientists. But middle-aged men who know better can give the word to attack innocent black people. That's what they mean by tell the truth. And if you can't tell the truth, and we know why certain people can't tell the truth, then don't talk about it. That's the frustration with S-Bone, Bride Dog, Cartoon. We know you can't say what you want to say, so just don't say anything. Because I call it like I see it on both sides. If I say something in favor of my people, I'm going to be called racist and butthurt. If I say something in favor of the essays, I'm going to be called a sellout and a wannabe Sudanio. Bro, it's just keeping it real. It's just keeping it real. I know certain hoods have blacks, but like I said, they might be black as far as their skin color. They not black. If you join in some of these gangs who have a history of racially motivated attacks against civilian black people, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear you black. Like Gil said, they just some ghetto coons. They is. Because I don't know how you could be black and proud of it, but you're going to go join the Avenues or Azusa or any of these Hawaiian Guards, any of these gangs, 204th Street, that have a history of doing what they do towards blacks. That's all people be saying, man. Tell the truth if you're going to tell it, man. Like I said, King Nico just told a story when he was in the valley in El Monte, and they just yelled that out the window to him in 2022. So don't sit up there and say that Bride Dog is pushing division and causing hate and stirring shit. He's just calling it like it is. He's just saying we can't go over there without being on our toes because something may happen to you. They're not going to attack you in South Central or in Compton or Watts or whatever just because you a regular Paisa dude walking down the street. They probably think you're from a gang that they don't get along with. That's why you'll get attacked. And I remember a while back somebody was telling me about some dude named Sucker Free Old Foe. Go check out his music, and I don't even know who that is. But that shit popped up on my timeline last night, or my feed on YouTube, whatever the case. And I clicked on it. Yeah. That was all I needed to hear from him. Talking about he pressing any Cripper blood, and basically he, in his words, not mine, he basically said like he wants some competition, as if the Hispanic gangs that he beef with is not competition. It's like as if it's more competition to beef with the Crips and Bloods. That's pretty much how I took it. Then he said, basically like he pressing all the blacks, you know, whether they bang or not. That's what he said. Then he turned around and contradicted himself and said, not the black people who are hardworking or whatever the case was. But you had already said you was pressing on blacks earlier in the song. Y'all can go check it out. There's people who really think like that. So I don't know how the blacks feel being from those types of gangs, but like I said, I don't consider them black once they do that. Because you sitting around people who don't like, they might like you specifically, they don't really like your people. And like I said, these are certain gangs. These are certain individuals. I'm not, regardless of what other people do on their channel, I'm not lumping everybody into one. I'm just not going to do that because I know a lot of people who don't get down like that. That's me personally. Everybody else could do what the fuck they want to. They could be stuck in their ways if they want to. That's on them. But you do got people who think like that, man. They say it's not racist, it's a gang thing. Then how come it's an issue? Or was, I don't know about nowadays. How come it used to be an issue when a Hispanic would hit the yard as a Crip or a Blood? Or a white would hit the yard as a Crip or a Blood? I know the whites look at you as a race traitor for running with the blacks. I don't know if the essays do the same thing, but it kind of looks like that's why they will be tripping off of that. But you'll accept blacks and whites into yours. And that's another thing. If a white dude is a Crip or a Blood, he's a race traitor. But if a white dude is a Sudaniel or a North Daniel, y'all don't crack it off? Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. But anyways, this your boy Hoodie from the Hood, aka your friend from that big old end. Shout out to everybody, homie, who rock with the channel, no matter what race you are, no matter what hood you from. We just calling it like it is, homie. Some people don't like that. Some people don't want to be reminded of that. This is a very touchy topic. I'm trying to stay away from it, but it just keep coming up on my timeline, and people was trying to make it seem like motherfuckers are delusional and making shit up. Like that's not true. Everything I just said in this video was true, not fabricated. Anyways, man, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, put yourself on to that hoodlum gang. I'm about to go clock in.